Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at just another video here to bring the two-game NBA main slate on Thursday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is DK. I make daily videos and live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings. If you're unable to watch these videos, I also upload on Apple Podcasts. Link down below. It's called the DKDFS show. And if you could take a couple minutes out of your day, leave a 5-star rating and review. That would help me out a ton. Because again, every single rating and review boosts me up in those rankings on Apple Podcasts. If you were interested in signing up for premium content, I offer that on patreon.com. Link down below as well. I offer an NBA package as well as an esports package. So with the esports package, that includes CSGO and Call of Duty. CSGO, we got slates every single day. So, if you want like a morning sweat, maybe try CSGO out. It's kind of fun to have something to sweat a little bit in the morning because most of the slates are usually early on. And then Call of Duty, we got slates 4 times a week most of the time. And finally, I do want to thank PrizePicks for sponsoring this episode. So again, if you're not familiar with PrizePicks, there's a couple different ways you can play. So number one, I guess their original way is you take over under and fantasy scores. So fantasy points over under Nikola Jokic 56. It's pretty simple, right? So and they already have a ton of players posted for tomorrow's 2-game slate. Or you can take it over under on they have like points, assists, rebounds, 3-pointers made. So, what I like about it is it's a nice change of pace. You're not playing against anyone. You're just playing against the house. So if you guys want to try it out, you can sign up. Use the code DKDFS. DKDFS, all one word, link down below. You'll get a 100% match up to $100. Basically, $100 in, you get a free $100 to play with, or $200 total. Going over some of these that I like, the early game is the one I think has a lot more upside. Should be played at a pretty fast pace. Like a lot of these feel kind of low. Like Dame is just on another level right now. Like I have a hard time going under that, even though it's at 52. Nurk, if he can stay out of foul trouble, will definitely go over because he almost went over that in the first half, but then barely played the second half because of 4 fouls. Let's see. Like LeBron is only at 52 right now. If AD can't go, like that's one I'm like, all right, I'm taking the over, right? In a must-win game, LeBron James, he's gonna go for over 52 if the game stays competitive. If Anthony Davis is not out there, so again, use my code in the description below for a 100% match up to $100. And finally, I just want to give you guys a big shout out. All you guys consistently coming in on the videos, the live streams. Again, a special shout out to everyone that has been super chatting as well. Really does make my day. And if you guys do enjoy all of this content, if you could hit that like button, it helps me out a ton because every single like allows me to get more views in these videos. Subscribe if you haven't already. I think we're closing on the 9.2 subscriber mark, 9.2 thousand. And hit the notification bell so you don't want to upload videos you don't want to live. It's only 2 games, but I will be doing a quick live stream tomorrow. So make sure to check it out. We'll try to answer all your guys' questions. And let's try to aim for 150 likes on this one. All right, so before we talk about players and the prices for this 2-game slate, we can look back mine up here from Wednesday. So Wednesday, I once again laid an egg like usual, like it's been last week or so. Just been not the best week for me, but it is what it is. But what I am happy about is we had a few big winners with Patreon members. We almost had someone take down the big tournament. He came close. But yeah, we can go over my lineup. So definitely got some tilting to do. Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose was my last piece filler option. So I guess one guy I didn't have in here that I was super high on, and a lot of you guys got to, was Donovan Mitchell. He was low owned. I was shocked about that. Also, at least in this tournament, Russell Westbrook was over 50% owned. That didn't make a ton of sense, whereas Luka was unowned. Now, I guess we'll talk about it now, my pivot I could have made. So every single time I make pivots, I'm sure you guys have watched my content this year. It's like I always make the wrong pivot no matter what. Like it just never goes right. Rarely will I ever make a correct pivot. And so I had the late 2 guys with Kawhi and Batum. Could have went to Luka and Boban. I was really considering it. I'm thinking to myself, okay, you know what? Even though Derrick Rose busted, I still think I have a decent chance because the rest of the guys, did well in my lineup, even though they're somewhat popular. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stick with what I think is safer because I was going through in my head. I'm like, you know what? Boban, we've seen this a few times this year where he'll start and play literally like one shift and that's it, like 5 minutes. I thought that was a slight possibility. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go with the safer option with the Kawhi and Batum. Sure enough, Luka, career game at no ownership, and Boban played way more than I thought. So once again, I hold the L for that. If I make that pivot, I'm cashing. And I probably should have been. I think that was actually a mistake on my part because I just think, that would have gave me a shot to pivot to a lower owned, Luka and Boban as opposed to, somewhat more popular Batum and Kawhi. So I think I actually did make a mistake there. But yeah, Derrick Rose, gets benched. A must-win game. Their best player so far in this playoffs, been playing close to 40 minutes. Just give me a subpar game. Just give me 30 fancy points, a below-average game. Nah. Benched, can't hit the broadside of a barn, and 17 fancy points. But yeah, the rest of my lineup, you guys knew I was going with the 76er stack. Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris one off. Rui and Gafford, two value guys I liked. Also Dwight, that game in general was super high scoring because Embiid was off, out of the game. So that was the game we wanted the most exposure to for sure. But if I make that pivot to Luka and Boban, I'm cashing. But congrats to all you guys, Patreon members who had big wins today. And hoping to keep that going. Even though, I took the L, it's nice to see you guys get some W's. And, all right, so let's talk about this two-game slate. Denver and Portland, a 227.5 or under. Trailblazers, 5-point favorites. And Suns and Lakers, a 207.5 or under. The Lakers, 2-point favorites. All right, so let's start off with Denver and Portland. This is a game I want more exposure to. This has a way more upside, right? Just played at a way faster pace. So, yeah, this is a game, again, I want more exposure to. We'll start with Nikola Jokic at 10.7K. I think makes for a very safe spend up with upside. He's going to play about 35 minutes. We know he can go out and get you a double-double, even close to triple-double at times. And, he's just, I think, a little bit too cheap still. So I think Nikola Jokic looks like a really good spend up. It's just a matter of, what do you have to sacrifice to get him in there, right? Obviously like Jokic, that's not a contrarian take. You guys know that. Now, where I'm a little bit undecided is, God, this has just been such a headache. I told you about this a little bit, but I played him here, I play him here. Finally hop off 50 fancy points. It's same thing happened with Jay Crowder too. The last slate I played him every single slate. I finally hopped off him and he went for 40 fancy points. It's just been, again, it's can I catch a break, man? But MPJ, it's just a matter, which MPJ we're gonna get. Are we gonna get the MPJ that early in the playoffs, just standing around not doing much, or are we going to get the MPJ last game and the guy that, closed the regular season averaging 40, 45 fantasy points a game? So, which one are we going to get? It's a good sign that he got back to his old ways and had a good shooting game. Was a little bit more aggressive in the offensive end. I like the matchup here, so I do like MPJ. It's at a price point where it's I think he's going to be decently popular, but it's hard to ignore if he's going to play, 35 plus minutes at below 7K in this matchup. Now, Composo at 6-1, more of a contrarian option for me. And the reason being is, as I've said the last couple slates, I would prefer the cheaper guards in Rivers and Monte Morris to Composo. Composo's minutes have actually been trending down a little bit, 27 then only 21. So nothing more than a large field contrarian play. Aaron Gordon's kind of just a filler option, right? I never get super excited about it, but he'll play about 30 minutes in regular time. And I think that's fine. Doesn't have insane upside, but probably not going to kill you either. Again, just like a filler. Now, the two value guards, once again, I like Monte Morris, Austin Rivers. Have been pretty high in these guys last few games. Monte Morris, played 31 minutes in regulation. He's been really, really good off the bench. A guy that can stuff the stat sheet. I think he's one of the better value plays at the slate. And also Austin Rivers at 4-5 should play some pretty big minutes. So both Rivers and Monte Morris I think are good value plays at their respective prices. Now, a couple GPP-only value plays. I'll mention Millsap and Jamalco Green. So Millsap will play the backup 5. Should play somewhere about 10 to 15 minutes. He's actually a solid point per guy when he plays the backup 5. So, larger field play, I don't hate it, or contrarian option. And same thing with Jamalco Green. He might be a little bit safer because he should play up closer to the 20-minute mark. He's going for 15, 22, and 19 fantasy points last games, which is not bad. Both Millsap and Jamalco Green are playable here, just more, again, contrarian options. And then moving on to Portland. So, he's going to be popular. He is. But, man, it is, I'll just say, as I've said with Dame basically every single slate so far, he is a scary fade in the playoffs because it's Dame Lillard and he is so clutch. So, must-win game here for Portland. You got to figure, like, okay, Dame's going to want to show up, right? So, sure, the price came up, but, man, again, scary fades. So like Dame, if you can afford him. Now, CJ, might be slightly more of the optimal build if you go a little bit more balanced. He obviously doesn't have the upside of Dame, but he's been pretty consistent as far as fantasy points, like getting close to 35 to 40 averaging in the playoffs, which again I think is solid. And for some reason, if maybe off chance Dame does struggle, then CJ's probably got to be the guy. So, and he's way more affordable on the slate. So again, perfectly fine selling for CJ. It's just stay out of foul trouble, please, Nurk. God, that last game, that was one of the most tilting things I've ever seen, because we had a low-owned Nurkic, literally had like 30 fantasy points at half, on pace for 60, and then picks up like 4 fouls in 4 minutes in the second half and like barely plays. So, once again, Yusuf Nurkic, and that's a big if he can stay out of foul trouble, he will smash, because he's a phenomenal point per minute guy, and he should play about 35 minutes, right? And I will mention 3 games ago, this game against Denver, 3 games ago, he played 32 minutes. He fouled out early in the fourth quarter when he was out there, so he was on pace for close to 40. I think there's upside for him to push for close to 40 in a do or die game here if he can stay out of foul trouble. So again, love Nurk. It's just a matter of, can he stay out of foul trouble? Because if he stays out of foul trouble and plays 35 plus minutes, he's going to smash. So that's a big question mark in the slate. You got to guess right of, can he stay out of foul trouble? Now, Norman Powell at 5'8", just such a frustrating roster because he's so reliant on the scoring. He actually went as my filler option last slate. 51 minutes, 18 fantasy points. But the 2 games I don't play him, 40 and 32. Sums up my week. But yeah, Norman Powell is playable, just has to hit his shots. He'll play the big minutes. Robert Covington's been playing pretty well of late. He's a guy that can get some rebounds. Now, when Nurk has fouled out, he actually played more. He played a lot at the small ball 5. He's a guy that gets some blocks and steals. I think, again, a fair filler option, kind of like a Aaron Gordon. Fine, he'll play big minutes. He will play big minutes. And Carmelo off the bench at 4-2, I think we probably get somewhere around 20 to 25 minutes. A fair GPP play. I will mention Anthony Simons at the flat min. You could do worse, right? He's going to be in the rotation. He'll probably play about 15 minutes normally, and yeah, he's a decent shooter, so I'm actually okay if you want to roll the dice on a mid-price Anthony Simons. All right, so let's finish up with the Suns and Lakers. On the Suns side, Devin Booker finally had a good game here in the series. Now, he is the guy of the big 3 that has the most upside, but he also has a somewhat low floor. So Booker is more of a tournament-only play. Now, DeAndre Ayton's been really consistent so far in the series. Besides that last game, again, the blowout obviously hurt, but he didn't do much in the second half. I think he's still a decent option, but at this price point, no longer becomes like a guy that I'm going to be like super excited to jam in. And then Chris Paul, again, the question is the shoulder. He played 23 minutes in a blowout, went for 24 fantasy points. I think in a closeout game here, he probably pushes for 30 to 35 minutes. Which at this price, I think makes him looks like a pretty good play in the mid-range if he can just stay on the court, right? And if that shoulder can hold up. Now, if you think, again, as I always said, sound like a broken record, but if you think that shoulder's going to continue to bother Paul or they somewhat limit him, then you can look to Campaign. Either way, Campaign should play about 25 minutes. If the shoulder's really bothering him, then Payne could push for over 30. So I think Payne is firmly in play here for GPPs. And if Paul gets somewhat limited, that's where you could see a pretty big game from Campaign. Bridges and Crowder are not out of play, but again, more filler options. Bridges finally had a good game, but so far in the series, he's been more out there for his defense, so I'm not super excited about that. Crowder, again, he had the one big game when I finally faded him. Other than that, he's been struggling shooting the ball, but he should play about 35 minutes in this if the game stays competitive because they need his defense on guys like LeBron, even AD if he does play. So Crowder's fine. Again, does have some upside if he's knocking out some threes. And then I will mention Cam Johnson because he's close to min-price. I think we get about 15 to 20 minutes off the bench for him, which actually is doable. If you're going the complete stars and scrubs route, I think he's someone that you could at least consider on this slate. Kaminsky will play the backup 5. He's played the last couple of games, but it's just not enough for me to get there at the flat min. And so let's finish up with the Lakers. We got some big question marks, and it will change how I go about it, obviously, with Anthony Davis and KCP. So we'll start with AD. If AD is out, then LeBron James becomes a safe option because he's just going to be the do-it-all guy. And it's a must-win game, obviously. If AD is out, LeBron becomes probably the safest bet up on the board, and it's just because he's going to have to do everything, even though the matchup's not as good. So would like LeBron a lot if Anthony Davis is out. And then secondary options for Lakers if Anthony Davis is out. So Schroeder, awful game last game, 0 of 9. But, again, he will have to do a lot more offensively if Anthony Davis is not on the court. A fair play in the mid-range, I think, will be low-owned because of recency bias. Kyle Kuzma. Yeah, I think we probably get around 25-ish minutes, maybe a little bit more if AD is out. Playable as well. Again, though, been somewhat reliant on the scoring, which makes him a little bit risky. And then the two centers, Drummond and Gasol, were both in foul trouble. I think Drummond probably plays about 20 minutes. We know he's a frustrating DFS roster, but has upside. Gasol, again, was in massive foul trouble. Only played 10 minutes because of it. I think if AD's off the court, I think we'd probably get closer to the 20-minute mark like we've been seeing from Gasol, which I think makes him a fair value play. And then KCP re-aggravated the knee injury. My guess is he doesn't play, but we'll have to see. If he is out, my guess is it's Wes Matthews that picks up the start, which you could use him as a dart throw, but again, he would probably play about 20-ish minutes, but super, super reliant on the scoring. I personally would rather get to Caruso, even though he's been not so good recently. He can do a little bit more besides just score the ball, and I think he would play probably in the closing lineup if KCP's out and if Anthony Davis are out, obviously. So Caruso's someone I'm eyeing. Markieff Morris picked up the start last game with no Anthony Davis. He played 10 minutes. Probably would have played a little bit more if the game would have blown out. So maybe about 15 minutes or more, which, again, at close to min price, you can go there. It's not something I feel super, super good about. Now, so that's kind of covered everything there with the viable Lakers. Now, if AD is in, then I'm not really high on the secondary plays here for the Lakers. So that is pretty big news. And AD himself, if he does play, obviously high risk, high reward because he's made of glass and always injured and obviously dealing with the groin injury. But he'll be pretty low owned if he does get ruled in. So that'll be one where it's like, how risky do you want to play it? And then with KCP, if KCP is out, again, it's going to be like Wes Matthews and Caruso. I think they pick up a majority of those minutes. Again, Caruso would be the guy I would like more. But if KCP plays, same thing I'll say about AD. High risk, high reward because he's been dealing with a knee injury. But if he can stay healthy and stay on the court, I think he probably plays 30 minutes in this game, maybe a little bit more. And at this price point, I actually don't hate it. Again, though, he has to hit threes to get value. So that is going to do it, guys, for the video today. If you have been enjoying the content so far, would really appreciate it if you could leave a like button on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload videos, you know when I'm live. Again, I will be doing a YouTube live stream tomorrow. Make sure to check it out. Thanks again. Have a great night, guys, and I'll see you all tomorrow in the live stream.